From Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. I am your host, Caleb.
And I'm your other host, Joe.
And, today we're going to be just kind of talking about what we feel the best length for a Final Fantasy game is. I mean, obviously...
Given recent news, right?
Given recent news, dealing with Final Fantasy 15 is supposed to have around a 50-hour campaign, which sounds like a lot. Because it is, but
it is.
Yeah, we're going to discuss kind of what we feel is the best length and kind of the reasons why. I mean, and we'll hit on main story as well as some of the optional stuff. It also ties in very well with the game we're currently playing, the uber short Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core,
which you have finished. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
okay.
I did.
I am. I think I'm pretty close, right? I'm fighting Sephiroth and Nibelheim after he's lit the village on fire. So
you're getting there, yeah.
Yeah. So I should be there by the end of this week, which means, guys, next week should be our Final Fantasy, unless like something awful happens. Next week should be our Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core review. So get on the forums, ask your Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core questions, and leave
us your reviews.
Yeah, your reviews of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. Schweiss. Let's do some plugs.
All right, you can tweet me at UFF Podcast.
You can tweet me at Joseph DeGolier.
You can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, all sorts of Let's Plays, walkthroughs, fun shit.
Facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, where response time is sometimes quicker than other places.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, The little badge they give you was cool for like 2 seconds that we had it.
We had a little badge.
Yeah,
for
it's
our
like normally responds
time.
within 10 minutes.
Oh, sweet. You can go to twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy. See the episodes live most of the time on Saturdays. And you can also support us on Patreon, where $1 a month gives you the episodes as soon as we're done. $1 a month? Is that what I said?
Yes.
$1 a month gives you the episodes as soon as we are done recording them. And we want to thank our Patreon donors and all of our listeners who have gone on those various websites to support us and talk with us and everything. It's great.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
All right. So, Schweiss, shall we move on to news?
I think so.
Okay. News. Okay, so first up in news, this was given to us by both Bill Mardigan and Shinru on the forums. Bill Mardigan says, hey, Caleb and Joe, not sure if you guys saw this. I thought it was worth a chuckle. He gets so defensive over the laugh. P.S. I always pronounce it Titus, not Titus. I will always pronounce it Titus, not Titus. What he was referring to, and he forgot to put a link on the video for it. What he was referring to is James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Titus, or Titus, as we will always call him as well. The voice of Titus put up a video. I guess he started sort of a YouTube vlog, so you can check it out. It's called the Jat vlog.
Oh.
He put up a video talking about how, one of the questions he always gets is whether or not the scene where Titus laughs, if like it was just really stupid and they went with it, or if it was like ridiculous on purpose.
Right.
And we've kind of discussed this, I think, in our Final Fantasy X review, or maybe before then. We've discussed whether or not that scene was like ridiculous on purpose or not. Like whether or not it was just like the regular, really badly translated Japanese into English, and it's like, well, you guys gotta laugh. You're gonna have to laugh on this track.
Yeah, and I mean, we came to the conclusion that it was kind of both. Obviously, there's some bad translation that doesn't carry over quite the same, but it's meant to be an awkward scene. So let's see what James Arnold Taylor says about it here.
It was supposed to be an awkward, goofy, dumb laugh. For one, here's how it works. So when we did the game, The game was it was like a phone book. The script was like this, and it took us 3.5 months to record this fantastic journey. So many years ago, which I never even could have imagined would still be talked about daily, and emails that I get pretty much daily from people all over the world thanking me for my work as Tidus in Final Fantasy X. And to you all, I say thank you for loving this game, because I was just a very lucky person that got to take the journey with all of you and be a part of it. But the laugh was on purpose, okay? It was written that way. It's supposed to be like that. He's being a bit of a goof there. They laugh at the end of it. He laughs a little before it. This is silly, right? He knows how to laugh, okay?
It's freaky when he does the voice.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't match his face.
He goes into it a little bit more, and so I won't steal like his views on his video by doing that. But yeah, you can look up James Arnold Taylor's YouTube channel and check that out. It's not surprising. It was surprising that he did have a video for it, though.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think one of us follows him on Twitter, and I remember seeing the feed that he was creating a vlog.
Yeah.
For voice actors, and I had no idea this would be like one of his things.
Yeah, one of his videos.
So I'm glad that he put it up. It's like he's twice as awesome now.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. It's not very often that we get voice actors in the United States that have quite the following that he does. He's got a lot of people that. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's him, and then there's
the voice of Snake.
Yeah, David Hayter.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, not that Kiefer Sutherland isn't a big name, but yeah.
No, yeah, bigger actually
by far. Yeah, there's him, and then Joe DiMaggio. I mean, there's a few, but honestly, there's only a couple like those guys that I can really name off the top of my head. That's about it.
Ali Hillis, because of Final Fantasy 13. Yeah,
that's true, but yeah, it's cool.
I remember, I think it was Limit Break Radio's, I'm going to give him another plug here, Limit Break Radio's spin-off show, Final Encounter Cast, where they interviewed David Hayter, and I remember he was talking to us before we interviewed Aniro. He was talking about how he had just gotten like a message back from David Hayter about doing an interview.
Right.
So that was kind of cool. And I don't know, it is kind of surprising. I mean, they're pushing more towards like having named voice actors.
Yeah.
Or they usually like they'll put a star in it, like Ellen Page or something like that.
Yeah, they'll put someone that's already famous in the game. But now I have seen more of a, featuring blah, blah, blah as the voice of so-and-so.
Exactly.
Like, what is that guy's name? The guy who plays Tyrion.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Like
sorry, I just like spaced out on his
name. I did too.
Well.
When we're talking like Bungie, that was something that was known. Everyone knew he was going to voice. He was going to voice the little robot dude.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a big deal. But yeah, you're right. A lot of times they will have voice actors be just regular, movie stars or whatever.
Just regular movie stars.
Just regular old everyday movie stars.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see in the future if they do just ever have a voice actor star and if they put him over the game cover. I wonder if we'll ever see that.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool. Peter Dinklage is his name.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage. One that's not a movie star beforehand.
That would be cool, yeah. That'd be really cool. I don't know.
Of course, that means that they would have to get paid more.
Yeah.
Which was all part of the whole conversation with the Final Encounter cast. All right, so Final Fantasy 14, they've released some more information. They still have their development diaries coming out. A new one came out for the visual design process for Heaven's Word. So if you guys want to learn more about the makings of Heaven's Word, you can go check that out.
It's on Silicon Era.
Yeah, and as it's on YouTube, really. Final Fantasy 14, I guess in a letter from the producer, they are going to make Fat Cat and Goo plushies available.
The Gaboo.
For pre-order, and they...
you remember those guys, the Gaboo?
Yeah, they're the ones... They're like the turd-looking things with the plants on their top of their heads. Yeah. And then the other one's like a cat. No.
You're not going to get a Gaboo or cat
I kind of still want to get
what
a
if you were as
attractive
plushie looking as that? I would buy one for you.
I'm sorry. What
one of the pictures on that they have is like some nicely fit woman holding this cat plushie. And if Joe looked like that with it, I'd buy him one.
Okay, I'm sure you would. Her head is chopped off.
It's true
in this picture.
I mean, who knows? But I want something with a cactar on it too. I've always wanted one. Yeah. And one of our listeners, I think it was Anthony. Catton from UK, the guy who we finally got a mug sent to.
Woohoo! That was a pain in the butt, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it was nuts, but we finally got one, and he's got like a little cactar plushie. He like put it up on his Final Fantasy shelf, and he's got a little cactar peeking out the top, so I was like, oh, man, I wish I had a little cactar, dude.
They've got to be available somewhere.
They do.
I bet they are.
I saw someone in line at Walmart with a cactar shirt one time. It was just like the little cactar guy and like the yellow and white sunlight coming off of him on a green shirt. It was sweet.
Huh.
I was like, fuck, man, where'd you get that?
So Phantasy Star Online 2 is, I guess they're having like a Thanksgiving event with Final Fantasy XIV's Odin, and it's going to be a boss in Phantasy Star 2. So if you're a Phantasy Star 2 fan, go for it. I've never played a second of that game.
Yeah, neither have I. So it looks like for the first time ever in Final Fantasy history, Final Fantasy 15 is going to be localized in Latin American Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese.
Ooh. So, yeah. What I think Tabata has a quote here. He said something about, visiting Latin America and seeing the fans there, which...
That's weird. Yeah. Where did you see the fans? At a little convention that you set up?
He said Mexico.
Okay.
Let's see the rest of the quote here. We think the story is one of the most important elements of Final Fantasy games and would like players in Latin America and Brazil to be able to enjoy the story in their own language. Right now, we are working on the localization of these two languages along with our localization partners and are taking care to ensure that this version of Final Fantasy 15 is the best possible version of the game, even better than the Japanese one.
Yeah.
No, that's not what
we want the Brazilian one to be just 5 stars.
So please look forward to the launch. And hopefully we have more information on what exact day the launch is.
Well, soon. We're supposed to.
Yeah. So there's a technology or software company called Umbra, I guess, and they released a statement having to deal with Final Fantasy 15. It says, Umbra announced today that Square Enix has licensed Umbra's technology to boost graphics performance in Final Fantasy 15. This game will be published in 2016 for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Final Fantasy 15 is the first game in history to take full advantage of Square Enix's new game engine, which also, don't they make a new engine for like every game they do?
They've made a bunch of engines, yeah, like 12 had one.
Yeah, so I don't really
7.
think it's like a big deal if it's the first time in history that they use this specific engine that they also
Yeah, it's like no one really cares.
Yeah.
It's never going to be used again, probably.
Which also has Umbra's visibility optimization technology integrated into it. This engine has been specifically designed to allow the game to have high-density polygon rendering performance.
Ooh.
Umbra's technology is ensuring that only the visible objects in every frame are being processed and rendered, the end result being optimized performance, ensuring the best possible graphics and frame rate. By using Umbra, frame rate performance could be improved over 2 times than before in characteristic scenes. The tool is extremely easy to use with simple API build that allows paralleling computation to be handled with ease as well, says the development team. Umbra creates an optimized database from your 3D data, whether it is a small game level or a huge architectural model. Umbra processes your data automatically, which means you can give Umbra your geometry as is without modifying in any way or doing any extra work. Umbra's optimization database can then be used in an application to perform queries. The queries answer questions like what can be seen here or what needs to be rendered next.
Huh.
So some new...
That was really intriguing.
I thought it was. Here, there's a Richard Garriott video, and he made the Ultima games.
Yeah.
There he had, like... with video games, I think with texture maps, like you have like one texture map, or they used to have it this way. You had like one texture map and it would like pick where in the map it was taking it and putting it into the game.
Right.
And so from what I'm seeing here is that they just make the models for the game. And then this Umbra technology, I guess, it sorts it out so that it can be quickly pulled from different files.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm assuming that it's saying.
So it's a lot easier to get the game. So you just like, it's almost like
it's just faster.
Yeah, like just texting.
It's like defragging your hard drive.
Yeah, I can see that. You just do like href and then pull the file from here. sort of.
But it's supposed to do everything automatically, so that's pretty cool. And this is part of kind of a big announcement with Final Fantasy 15, which I'm sure we'll have more information somewhere down in this week. They're trying to get the game so that it plays solidly at 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
And if they can't do that, they have to readdress how the game is being how the graphics are being utilized, and I think that's part of this process. And so we'll look into this some more here.
Okay, and of course, the important news that you were talking about was the fact that they will have cactars in Final Fantasy 15.
Cactars will make an appearance. It says they're powerful opponents that will be able to dodge shift breaks, whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that is.
Square Enix will have plenty of surprises in their event on March 31st, and they expect a trailer in Japanese as well. A father of Final Fantasy, this was interesting here. Hironobu Sakaguchi called out Tabata saying, "Let me tell you my impression on the Final Fantasy 15 demo." And Tabata can't say what they talked about, but he mentioned that Sakaguchi had a whole lot to say about
I bet
the demo.
you it was not positive. He was probably pissed.
No.
What do you do? My games are shit.
A playable tech demo will be properly shown at the event on the 31st. I thought it was the 30th. Am I wrong here?
I thought it was too. I don't know. We'll double check it.
Yeah.
It says 31st, so we'll believe it. So yeah, that's a big. That's obviously the big news that's coming up is the fact that we're going to get a release date finally for Final Fantasy 15. I mean, it's been rumored to have a September 30th release date. Some site apparently that leaked
Something.
the fact that they were releasing.
But how many leaks have we gotten so far? I mean, you could
lot.
listen to every single one of our episodes starting from the beginning.
There's a lot,
and
of
there's
times that
some
we get
kind of
mad,
fucking
yeah.
link.
Yeah. You know what? But this one though, that was from the same people that found out before they announced it that they were redoing 7. So I mean, they've been right before, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're right now.
That's true. Okay.
But yeah.
So this is cryptic here, and this is from Silicon Era, and they're pulling it from something else. Says, as for the airship, it has been decided from long ago on how they would introduce it into the game. It's something that they would have to say, this is the kind of airship that should be in 15. I'm not sure if that's saying that they're still looking for the right design for an airship, or how to utilize an airship, or like saying that maybe an airship's still not going to be in the game, or if the airship is definitely going to be in the game.
Well, I mean,
That's really confusing.
honestly, the car is essentially the airship. The airship is iconic, but it's useful more than anything. It's a way to get from one area to another.
Well, you know how big Final Fantasy 15 is going to be?
It's pretty big, yeah.
So I know you'll probably be able to fast travel with the car.
Yeah.
So
There's also, I think they were talking earlier on about like a manual thing. So kind of like with FF8, where you can go into the menu and just select what area you want to make the ship fly to, and then you just kind of sit back and it goes there itself.
right.
I'm sure we'll have something like that, but
We'll see what happens.
there has to be fast travel. Like with FF12, if you,
There was some
had to
sort of fast
wait.
travel in the demo,
if
Yeah.
you had to wait, that'd be nuts with how big the game's supposed to be. So
or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm getting things mixed up. That's possible. So another thing here, maintaining a 30 frame rate of 30 FPS is their objective, as we talked about. This has not been completely optimized as of yet, as there are times when it breaks 30. They will continue making adjustments until the last minute before the game goes gold. It says if they're unable to fixate on the 30 frames per second, they will do something different. So pretty much exactly as I said before. As for the game's resolution, it will be revealed at the release, and as for a PS4 bundle version, Square Enix is working on making that happen.
oh, nice. So if you don't have a PS4, wait it out and get the bundle.
The last piece of news, as for the playtime, at first Square Enix estimated that it would take about 40 hours to clear the main scenario, but this has since been bumped up to 50 hours
I love the look on
to
your face
clear
when you
the
read
main
that.
scenario, right? That's a 2-monther right there on our
Yeah.
They're currently not at the final stages of balancing out the game, but making optimal balances. They say that the game has more volume than they thought it would. So that is something else.
Oh, yeah, that goes perfectly into how long we think Final Fantasies should be. I think we should. I think we should get into that.
All right.
right, so as we know from our Season 1 cap episode, I spent a lot of time playing Final Fantasy this last year and a half, close to 2 years
We
now.
both spent a lot of time. Me, not as much as you, but I still think it's quite a bit.
Yeah, so
Come
I mean,
on.
75 waking days of Final Fantasy is pretty substantial.
In a year and a half?
Yeah, year and a half, close to 2 years. But what do you think? What do you think the best amount of time for a Final Fantasy game is? Like, what do you ever hit a point where you're not really having fun anymore? Is there a game that you've hit that with? What are your thoughts on that? Because for me, it really depends on the situation. So, you know, FF9 is beloved by pretty much everybody, and you know, we still enjoyed the game quite a bit. We don't rank it quite as high as others.
Yeah.
Because it is a callback to source material that is excellent.
Well,
therefore,
that's your reasoning.
therefore cannot be better. But that's fine.
That's your reasoning.
But you know, with that game, I was not very inclined to do the side quests with. Whereas with Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 6, we did pretty much all of it. Or at least you did the hunts in 12, you did the stuff in 5.
Yeah.
You know, you got the extra classes.
I
whatnot.
got a bunch of extra shit in 6 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we went out of our way to grab those awesome items like the offering and the Genji glove to do like 12-hit combos with
But
your...
I can remember around how long it took me the first time I played these games without doing that stuff.
Yeah.
So we can get into that as well. Schweiss, the first game took us what? It took you 11 hours or something?
21.
No, it took you 21 hours. It took me 11 hours.
Yeah.
That's right.
Although
we played different versions of the game.
Yeah, plus the speed up time things in these games aren't necessarily accurate. It's weird. Like when Jake is playing Final Fantasy VII and he puts ×3 speed on, it doesn't ×3 the in-game time. So I don't think that like 4 or any of those others multiply the playtime while it's speeding up the battle, which is bullshit.
Something tells me that's not true because of my gameplay time in 4.
It was like
sick.
70 something, right?
Yeah, and it shouldn't have been because it was 6 hours of me sleeping
Well, with,
when I got up and I was on
yeah,
level
you know
7.
what, they might have fixed that for 4. It's not really fixed or broken. You're speeding the game up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end. But yeah, no, FF1, 21 hours. You know, we have FF2, 25 hours, 24 for you. 3 24-hour game.
Okay. All right. So
They're pretty quick.
So the
on.
NES games were all around
A day.
20 to 25 hours.
Yeah.
Give or take. The Super NES games were around 25 hours. Am I correct about that? Just main story, not extra stuff as much.
Yeah, they're about 25 hours.
Yeah.
Averaged.
I remember 6 was a little longer. The PlayStation games were around the 30-hour range. And then
Yeah.
you kind of go up from there.
Yeah, the longer...
Assuming we're not counting the MMOs in this conversation.
Oh, yeah, we can't count those. Those aren't fair.
10, I think, is around a 40-hour game still. I still think that.
Yeah.
You can do it in less than that, but that might be a little rough.
Yeah, I think Jake beat it in under 24 hours one time.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really fast.
That is incredible.
I'm not sure. The only way I can think of doing that is...
It's like you know
Summon
exactly
breaks.
what part of the sphere grid to go to.
Yeah, that or every boss fight, you just use your summons and pull them in for the limit break. That's what I had to do for some of the bosses.
That'd be the most boring fucking game.
You just have to get their limit breaks up, each of them, and then go into the boss fight, lay down the boss. Next boss fight, before you get there, you summon Yuna, get the limit breaks out, etc.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be very fun.
12, I think, is a 50-hour game-ish, right?
Yeah, you can beat it in a lot less, but...
And 13 is about a 40-hour game.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. No, I think it's about a 50-hour game as well. So 15 being a 50-hour game,
Not that surprising to you?
not that surprising given 13 and 12.
Yeah.
It is it is surprising that the games are getting longer and longer. Why do you think the games are getting longer and longer before we talk about what our optimal times are, maybe?
Well, I think it's just they know what the community wants. They know that we like having a lot of stuff to do within our games. And, I mean, if you have the space, I don't see why not. Like 13, there's a lot of side stuff. 12, there's just gobs of side stuff, just a shitload of it. You know, with it, the hunts, the rare game, filling out the bestiary, the little in-game trophy system, the Sky Pirates Den thing. 10 has the Blitzball. I mean, we obviously don't like it very much, but that is something to do. There's the mini games. There's the butterfly catching stuff. So I think it's a way to reward you for putting in the extra time, giving you something to do, and then at the end giving you a solid reward for it, especially in 10. Though the things you have to do in 10 are horrible, with the Chocobo race just being the worst mini game the worst thing I've probably ever put myself through in my life.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
That doesn't count the nipple clamps or anything like that.
It does count the nipple clamps.
Okay.
And like the time I got like a needle in my hand and I had to pull it out with pliers, like I think I'd rather do that again than do that fucking race. It was just so bad.
All right. Here's a generalization I want to ask you if it's true, because you've played a lot more Western RPGs than I have. Western RPGs, and I heard this with Skyrim. I saw it with Fable. Western RPGs, short, easy story, lots of other shit, sandboxy stuff to do.
Yeah.
Outside of the story. With the Final Fantasy games, long, tough story, and not as many side things to do, except that they support kind of the main story.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering when they're giving us this 50-hour gameplay time, if they're adding in 20 hours of extra shit to do. Kind of like with 13.
I would hope so. I mean, what I hope they don't do is the just unacceptable rewards, the trophies in 13, like the hold every item thing. Like that's just a fuckface thing to do.
They'll
like,
have something.
That's just so wrong, you know? There's no reason to have all the weapons. You only need the best weapons. That's it. You don't need the shithole level 2 from like the third weapon you get in the game. Like it doesn't actually serve a purpose for the most part. So I don't know if they kick that more stuff like that in, I'm probably not going to enjoy it, but I'm sure they'll put some side quest stuff. I mean, there's always something in Final Fantasy,
right?
Unless you ask, certain people.
Would you prefer the Western style of the story is one thing, the rest of the game is another thing, versus it kind of being one thing? Which the Final Fantasy games, they always kind of introduce you to the side quests, right?
Yeah,
as you're going along, like here's
the snowboarding.
Have
part.
Fun for like 10 hours. It's cool, right?
Here's the G-bike. Yeah,
yeah. And then it goes on with the story.
Right.
Western RPGs, there's kind of a story, and then after the story, fuck around.
Yeah.
For years if you want to. So,
you know what?
Do you have a preference?
Ah, man, I like both of them, honestly.
Because that means like a main story they could be saying Final Fantasy 15's main story is going to be 10 hours long, but there's going to be years worth of side quests you can do. It's basically going to be a Skyrim situation, right?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be that happy with that. I kind of like Final Fantasy the way it is. I mean, I do enjoy the Skyrims and Oblivions where, the main campaign is not difficult. And in a lot of those, it only scales in difficulty based on your level.
Right.
So, like, I could beat the game and just level up by doing just the main story quests, 8 hours, 10 hours. But if I want to finish Oblivion, we're talking like 120 plus hours. Like, it's a lot of stuff, and it's really fun. I really enjoy the side quests. Whereas with FF, like you were saying, we have super long campaigns, and the side quests kind of, kick up an opportunity to level grind or get better items, etc. With Crisis Core as we're playing it, I mean, there's a few points that I've reached where I'm just like, all right, well, it's mission time, because I want to make sure that I don't have any problems whatsoever with the rest of this game, so got to the church.
So get all the extra items that help your stats.
Yeah,
missions.
I'm trying to grab every item in there. And the problem I'm running into is there's guys that just do death. Like their attacks just have death on them.
Wow.
So I just die. It doesn't matter how much health I have, how strong I am. If I don't dodge it, I just get killed.
That's okay. Well, something about the Final Fantasy games is that when you get to the end of the game ends, right?
Yeah.
With the Western RPGs, that's not usually the case.
Right, yeah, you can go.
Usually you get
around
to the end, you save after the end, and then it's just like, well, you have your house, you have the economy, you have still shitloads of side missions you can do.
Right.
Or whatever. Fable, if you get the good ending, if you get the bad ending, then
it's over.
The game just ends. You're right.
Well, with with Diablo, the game ends.
That's true. Yeah,
That's
you're
another
right.
one where it ends. I mean, you could restart, but you're restarting the story, is what it is.
Right.
It's not, all right, well, sweet, you cleared it. Now you can get the DLC, I guess, and go do 5 more levels. Like, that's all that's left.
But you can continue your character in Diablo.
Yeah, you can carry over his levels. It doesn't scale, so you don't start leveling up until you get
That
down
is like
low.
a fundamental difference I'm seeing in the Final Fantasy games versus the Western RPGs I'm just now exploring. Is that whole entire, like,
play after it's over thing.
play after it's over, or how much does the story actually matter? And we've been lucky, the last couple RPGs we played, Fable, Diablo, they've had pretty good stories,
Yeah.
right? And does Skyrim have a good story? Like, what's your opinion on Skyrim's story?
I haven't actually played much of Skyrim.
How about Oblivion?
Oblivion's got a pretty solid story. I enjoy it.
So, story, I mean, they're solid in these Western RPGs, but have they been as consistently powerful as the stories in the Final Fantasy series?
I don't think so. Like, when I played Fable, it didn't have the same effect as, like, playing Final Fantasy 6 or 10 or 9 or most of the Final Fantasy games. I didn't feel quite as, oh man, that was great. Like, the end of Crisis Core is just phenomenal.
Is it?
It is. I didn't feel that way after I beat Fable. I was like, oh, cool, that was a really easy boss fight. I just have to block
All right,
him.
it's done.
Block him until he slows down and hit him a couple times.
I guess I'll go buy some more houses and kill some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't kill anybody, but
Open some demon doors.
yeah, there's there's stuff to
Tease.
do.
Yeah, there's shit to do. With a Final Fantasy game, it's pretty much like get all the, like, you can have your save point right before the end boss, and that save point is for going back and getting other shit.
Yeah, that's the optional dungeon or whatever. Like, that's where you save and then you go back to go side quest.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have a feeling that Final Fantasy 15 is going to be no different than the rest of the Final Fantasy series, in that when it ends, it ends.
yeah,
But I think it'll probably have plenty of side quests on the way if you wish to explore them, or things to collect. When we played the demo, it definitely seems that way. It seems like they're taking a lot of cues from both JRPGs.
and the Western RPGs.
And they're
as well.
taking Western RPGs as well, and they're trying to take kind of the good parts of both of them. Western RPGs, I think the exploratory aspect of that, I think they're trying to pull that into Final Fantasy 15.
Right, more action based as opposed to turn based. It's a lot quicker.
Right, while also kind of sticking with the story is king kind of thing with the JRPGs.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to 15. Honestly, it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. The battle system, whatever. I'm not like super pumped about it. I thought it was
Playing
fun.
Crisis Core, I'm like, yeah, this is like a really simple version of the 15 battle system.
Yeah, you just hit X the whole time. Until it starts getting tough, though. When you start getting guys that you can't kill, it becomes a lot more
That's true.
involved.
That's
like
true.
with the dodging and like the timing that you have to have.
But the 15 demo isn't without difficulty.
No, it's very tough. Like getting the counter stuff done in the beginning, that was such a fucking hassle for me. I was like, God, I can't counter this guy.
But of course they said I guess they're going to have 2 versions of the battle system that you can have.
Yeah.
Which is that's one thing that
That's
I'm just
weird.
like, what the fuck? Just stick with one.
Yeah, that's odd. I
People
don't
are
know.
going to either hate it or not, whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, most people that like Final Fantasy like Kingdom Hearts, so I kind of don't buy the whole, well, let's have this for the Final Fantasy fans. Let's have the turn-based
yeah,
stuff for them.
I don't know. I
I'm
like
not sure if I buy that.
I like the idea of an action RPG. It's refreshing. Like 14 was a lot more, to me, it was a lot more actionable. It was like something I could, it's more involved as opposed to 13 or 10. I mean, the battle systems are great in those games, but it feels less involved. There's not as much moving around. There's not as much real time to it. And I honestly think they should just stick with what we played in the demo. I don't see what's wrong with that. I'm not sure if I'm going to mess around with the turn-based mode or whatever the fuck they end up doing.
Something that concerns me about that 50-hour time is that it might have like a Final Fantasy 13 effect where it's cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. And I'm not seeing that with the demo, but then again, it is just a demo. And so who knows? But then the 13 demo had a lot of cutscenes in it, so whatever. If it's like a cutscene after cutscene after cutscene thing for 50 hours, that's going to be way too much.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I don't know, like a happy medium between Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy XII, where like there's plenty of story, but there's also plenty of gameplay in between, or at least enough gameplay that it's interesting and not dull.
Yeah, and you know, I'm pretty pumped for the hunt system that we're looking at in 15. You know, you come up to the behemoth sign and it's like reward 50,000 gil or whatever, and you go out and kill it. Like wanted posters pinned up to walls in the Final Fantasy universe is like amazing.
You're excited for that?
Yeah, I'm pumped for that.
Okay.
I love the idea of it.
So Schweiss, given our rankings and given the times here, and I want to just like say, not including side quest times, because I think we both want plenty of opportunity for side quests.
Right, if we so choose.
I want like a Final Fantasy 12 amount of shit to do that I don't have to do, but I can if I want to.
Right.
Right? I want that in 15. I think 15 will actually give us that. I'm not actually concerned with how much 15 is going to give us.
Yeah, neither am I. They better give us a lot for how long this shit's taken.
Is there such thing as a game that's too long in its story?
You know what? Not that I've experienced, really. It's not, there's never been one where I'm just like, okay.
This needs to end.
Yeah, like with movies, you get that way because you're sitting in a chair for 2 to 3 hours sometimes, and it's like, ugh. You know, I saw Batman v Superman recently, and that's how I felt with about 25 minutes left. I'm just like, oh,
It's the movie
God,
that
this
never
is
ends.
so long. Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't even feel right. I've never really had that with the Final Fantasy. I mean, there's always the occasional, oh my God, we're going to do the review episode tomorrow, and I haven't beat the final boss. But that's not necessarily an inherent, okay, this thing's a slog. It's, you know, it's never ending.
Okay.
I don't think I've played a game where it's really felt that way. I don't know. Have you? Have you experienced anything that's at least within this series? Obviously,
The first time I played 12, I felt that way.
yeah.
13, the second time I played 13, it felt that way. But it once again, we talked about 13's flaws, and I think the biggest flaw with 13's storytelling, besides it being kind of confusing, is that all the cutscenes just right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you don't really understand that they're throwing out at you, all these terms and all this
I mean, that's
lore.
secondary to just the amount of cutscenes versus gameplay in the first 12 chapters.
Yeah.
And then it's just like open.
Yeah, that's true. It
And
is
then
weird.
there's nothing.
Well, that's when it's really fun,
And it
though.
feels really off, right?
Yeah.
If they had balanced it like they did with Final Fantasy X, where it was like, okay, you get a 2-minute cutscene followed by 30 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, 30 minutes of walking through an area, running into random dudes, dodging lightning, etc.
But then they kind of just keep that pattern going.
Yeah.
It feels more balanced, and it feels like the cutscenes are a reward instead of like something you have to suffer through to get to the awesome gameplay.
That's true, yeah.
It's like 13's gameplay was so awesome, then its cutscenes would like feel like they're in the way.
Yeah, you know what? That's weird because when we played Final Fantasy in the beginning, like, to me, Final Fantasy has always been, you're doing great if you find a new cutscene. You know,
Right.
The first time I played 8, no guys, no nothing, that game was a pain in the ass. And whenever I got a new cutscene, I was always like, yes, I'm getting somewhere.
There's your reward, exactly.
HD, baby. Mm-hmm. But then you're right, with 13, I was just like, oh, God. Snow, you're so...
slug through this shit.
Yeah, like, why are you trying to chip the crystal? You're not gonna get her out, dude. And, like, we're spending way too much time on this. Or with 14.
It's a pacing problem. It's a weird pacing problem. It's not like it's pacing having to do with gameplay and cutscene. Like,
yeah, I don't think
what's the balance?
And hopefully they find that balance again. You know, there's only been a few games where it's been very problematic to me. 13 is definitely one of them.
Crisis Core feels to me like a game that has too many cutscenes versus gameplay.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
There is quite a bit of cutscene, and not all of it's completely necessary, I don't think.
It's not. And they'll go from voice cutscene to like cutscenes where you just have to press the X to get through it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God.
Yeah, that's kind of stressful. It's like, it's just weird. Like, why have a voice acted part, and then a couple minutes later, it's like, okay, now it's text. Unless they ran out of money or file space. I don't know. But
I don't know either.
All right, so I'm going to say best gameplay for main story. I'm probably going to put it around for a Final Fantasy. Now, this isn't for any game.
Okay.
I'd say probably around 30 hours, 35 hours.
I was going to say 30 hours.
And that's with knowing what to do. It's maybe not a first time through where you're just kind of dicking around, grabbing on everything. That's just like if I were going to sit down and play a game for Nude Clan that I didn't want to platinum or get everything in, this is how much time I'd be willing to put into it.
30 hours.
30 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
30 to 35-ish.
I agree with you. I don't agree with the 35. I agree. I kind of like the 27 to 30 hour kind of range. And that's where I was before these playthroughs on the podcast. That's kind of where my Super NES and PlayStation era, that's kind of where they all were, right? And that feels about right. Like 9 may be a little too long, maybe have a little too much story for me.
Yeah.
I know other people don't feel that way, but that's how I feel. Like has a little too much text. But I feel like 8, 7, and 6, I think they're very well. If 8 doesn't have a great story, I think it's well paced within gameplay. Assuming you're playing it not like how we played it. Assuming you're playing it like a regular Final Fantasy, in which case 8 would be an extremely tough game, but that's about how long I think it would take if you're just doing main story, which is basically how I like to play the games.
Yeah.
Besides, some side questy stuff in 12. I think 12 might be too long, and I think 10... Actually, I think 10's about right for what 10 is, but 10 maybe has a few too many cutscenes.
Yeah, you think so?
Maybe. Is what I'm saying there. I think 10 works for me. So, it depends on how well the story's working. You certainly wouldn't want a lot of story and a lot of time devoted to the main story if the story is something you're not into.
Yeah, like with 13, for example.
So let's say you hate the story of Final Fantasy 15. You're slogging through 50 hours of it.
Yeah, that's going to be problematic.
Yeah.
So, as long as they stick to their guns and make a great story, I think if it's 50 hours to beat the main story, it's 50 hours to beat the main story. I think that is a long time, obviously. That's a big chunk of fucking change as far as, the hours are concerned. But as long as it's good and as long as it doesn't, start repeating itself or do any, Wheel of Time bullshit, I think we should be okay.
You have 32 hours on Final Fantasy 9?
Yeah.
I think I had something around there.
Yeah, that one's one we got real close to.
Final Fantasy 9 is the highest rated on Metacritic. So
yeah, it is.
Could you say that because Final Fantasy 9 is the highest critically praised Final Fantasy and the gameplay time's at 32 hours for both of us? I remember one of my gameplay times being like 33 or something like that. It was just above 30 hours for Final Fantasy 9. Can we say that the optimal time, according to critics, is 30 hours?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
That's a fair assessment via Metacritic. Final Fantasy X being another maybe 10 hours on top of that.
But, it does depend on the story itself. You're right. If FF1 had a 30-hour, 40-hour, 50-hour gameplay time, there's no way.
FF1 is the opposite, where it's too much gameplay to story.
Almost. Yeah, it's troublesome.
There may be 10 minutes of quote-unquote cutscenes in one.
Yeah.
Versus gameplay, right?
Yeah, that's not very much at all.
No,
so it does have the opposite problem. But it's not the same as Western, though. Like with Western, you can get away with it. Fable, it doesn't seem like the same way as FF1, even though really there's not much gameplay or story-wise within Fable. But, it works. So it does depend on the game itself. It depends on the universe. You don't want to just keep beating a dead horse kind of a thing, but...
What Western RPG aspects would you like in 15 that they don't already seem to have?
I kind of like the idea of a block that Crisis Core has brought. The idea of blocking or dodging attacks.
I think you have that in 15.
Yeah, you do have the dodge at the very least. I can't remember if there was a block in the demo or not.
There's a block.
Months. Okay.
There's a block.
And I like that. I do like the option of having like a first-person view. And that's one thing that the Elder Scrolls games are awesome for. I can just go down and like see my shield and my sword and my HUD.
See, I'm not as into the first person view.
I used to not be. I used to play those games third person, but over the years, I'm not doing third person. First person is for the win. So I'd like to see that as an option. You know, I kind of want to see another leveling system that's kind of similar to those where you just kind of choose where your points go.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
I don't think it's happening either, but I think it's going to be... Well, I don't know. It happens in... No, it doesn't happen at all.
It's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure.
It's probably just going to be a regular leveling progressive.
I would like to buy a fucking house. All right?
Yeah?
Final Fantasy 15.
You want realty?
Or a Fable, Elder Scrolls. You can buy a house and you can have a wife.
Yeah.
And I think the wife thing may be like out of... I think that might be a little...
Yeah, because it'd have to go with the story, and it would be weird for you to just.
There's always
like,
a love story in Final Fantasy, so I just assume that there's something there already. But I think it would be awesome to have like a real estate.
Yeah.
In 15. I mean, you're kind of on the run, so it might not work with the story, but maybe when the game's done, like that'd be something cool.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I loved in the Assassin's Creed games. You can like buy brothels and get money from them. You can buy property, get money from it.
Some other way of earning money.
Yeah, exactly. Another way to invest your gil to get money later. And I mean, you are on the run, but you can still make your rounds, so to speak. Go get your monies from them. I think it'd be cool.
I assume Noctis. I'm assuming this. I assume Noctis at the end is gonna like become king or prince again or whatever. I think he'll become king at the end of the game, most likely. And so like, what if it like turned into a strategy game where you're going to take over the other territories?
Oh, that'd be sweet.
And they have like a map HUD and you just like got to move your troops and
that'd be awesome.
It becomes, empirical and,
yeah, it's like a total war game. You build up your units, move into attack.
I mean, I've never seen that in a Western RPG, but that'd just be a sweet thing. It's not going to happen, but it's a sweet idea.
I have seen that in a Valkyria game. I can't remember if it was like Chronicles or Profile. It's one of those, but it's this weird. They like you go into the battles, right, and then you get to move you position your troops. They have like an energy bar, so you can move them a certain amount, and then you get to like. If you see somebody, you can zoom in and attack, and you have like a percentage to hit them here, a percentage to hit them here, kind of a thing. So it's almost like Fallout in that way. So you like shoot them, and it hits them wherever the die roll, I guess, the random number generator in the game, and then it does X amount of damage to them, and then you like end your turn, and then it's like this weird turn-based active battle thing. I think it'd be sweet if they added that in there. It's ridiculous, but
we're gonna get to tactics at some point here, not too far away. Final Fantasy Tactics. So like the gameplay is going to be real switched up in the future.
Oh yeah, it's going to be crazy different. And the next game we're playing is a fucking third-person shooter. Like,
that's a good point.
How many of those have you played?
Third-person shooter?
Yeah.
One.
What was it? Gears of War?
Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that would be a third-person shooter. Huh?
But you can go first-person.
And it's awesome.
In Metal Gear Solid. Yeah,
I love it.
What else? Maybe Rainbow Six. You can go third person. You can like switch from third to first person. Can I tell you something though that concerns me about going first person in these RPGs, especially Final Fantasy, especially if they're story driven, is that you go from an observer to action into a participator of action. And so I think the reason, I mean, I've heard this from someone else, and I agree with them. If you are the main character...
The main character can't be the main character.
The main character is all of a sudden you can't connect with them.
Yeah, unless, of course, it is the hero. You're the hero. You're you. But with this, you're Noctis. So I could see that. You can't feel like you're Noctis because you're seeing it from someone else's perspective who actually has a progressive storyline, who grows as a character. Whereas the reason why it works in Oblivion and all these other Western RPGs is because you are the main character.
But if your wife dies, do you cry in Oblivion?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think you have a wife in that one. In Skyrim.
In a Western RPG, like, do you care that much?
In real life?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not really. I mean, no.
Like, do you care as much when Titus is fading away versus something equally as awful happening just to your character as you in a Western RPG?
No, it's because it's not realistic. And I think that's where it kind of breaks down.
I don't think it has anything to do with realism.
Well,
I think it has to do with how stories are told. Stories are usually told as like a character. You can actually, I think you can project more on someone who has
Less.
a character, someone who wants something, someone who needs something, and is going for whatever they're going for, and has, of course, things pushed against them. That's a story. You will care more for that character than you care for yourself. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
When you're doing storytelling,
I mean,
so
but-
I don't think a game where you are playing yourself will ever be as powerful as a game where you are playing someone else and watching actions happen around you.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems counterintuitive, but I think that's the way it is.
That's fair. I mean, what do you make of the fact that people love FF8 so much for the love story between those two? They can project themselves onto the near blank slates that are Squall and Renoa,
That's
especially Squall.
That's possible, but they do have some.
So you think there at least needs to be some? There need to be.
There's got to be
connected-
something.
They need to be connected to the universe to some extent, so that you
You can't
can
be seeing it through the eyes of Squall. I don't think you'll care as much.
Well, I mean, he doesn't care, so you're right. Not until the very end. I could see that. I could
I
see
don't know.
that.
It's just kind of a story philosophy sort of view on it.
All right, so you don't want the first person because you think that would destroy part of that.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know if it would alter the way the story is told, though, so I don't think it would.
Okay.
I mean, you're not going to... If it made it to where you would see the cutscenes in first person, that'd be a little weird.
Well, it's like, do you care what happens in Half-Life 2?
Story-wise, not really.
Yeah, not really. I mean,
story-
sometimes things are cool, but
The story's told from stuff around you, though.
because your character doesn't have any emotions himself, you're not going to be connected in any way to that thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're just trying to keep yourself alive at that point.
It's the problem with video game storytelling. It is the problem with video game storytelling, is that, especially with Western RPGs or any sort of game really, where you are the character, you don't care about the character because you're the character.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with Far Cry 3, I mean, it's first person, but your guy does have, he does have emotions. He does have a story behind
Do you
him.
feel it with him?
Kind of, yeah. Like, it's really interesting because that game, you get kidnapped or something like that, and they're going to hold you for ransom and you escape. And you start doing all this crazy shit, like you become really close to one of the wild tribes on this island, and like at the end you have the choice to stay with them or to go back to civilization. And honestly, I would have stayed with them if I hadn't needed to slit the throat of my girlfriend to do so. Couldn't go that far, but I mean, that puts it in a place where your guy's becoming more and more attuned to the world around him, and he's becoming good at living there.
Is it not just because you care about the people around you less than you care about yourself?
I think that's how it is in that game. Okay. I don't care about the people around me. I'm not going to kill them, but I don't know. But with Final Fantasy, though, you do care about everybody.
Like, I care about Titus, despite him being a whiny piece of shit.
Yeah, and he was way more annoying the first time we played 10, I think, than this last time.
Yeah.
And you know what? He reaches a point in the game
But
where...
you care about Titus.
Yeah.
If it were you, it would be you caring about Yuna, or caring about Auron, or caring about Kimari, or Lulu, or Waka.
Yeah.
It would be less about you caring about what happens to the actual main character of the game, I think.
Well, I do care about Auron more than I care about Titus, but that's...
I don't know. There's something about watching a play or watching a movie or playing a video game in the third person with a character that you can't necessarily control the actions of. I mean, besides the battle and stuff like that. I think there's something about that where it's storytelling versus make-believe play or something.
All right, I can see that.
I don't know. It goes into a realm that's ethereal and about human experience and human storytelling that maybe I don't understand.
Yeah, I think it does. It does depend, though.
I think it affects how much. I think it can affect how much the story affects you.
Yeah,
frankly.
You know what? I mean, when you get to the end of Crisis Core, we'll have to talk about that as well and see how. I mean, we all know how it ends, obviously, from playing FF7, but it's even knowing how it ends, it's still like very powerful. And I think a lot of the reason why is because, we were playing as Zack, but we were seeing things unfold to Zack, not to us, to Zack.
So I would like to amend, if it's a good story, 50 hours will be fine.
Yeah.
And as long as it's told well and well paced in between gameplay, it should be perfectly fine. But if it's like too much of one or the other in uneven portions,
Yeah.
like we've had problems with in the series before,
Yeah, we definitely have.
but I think then 50 hours could be a problem. But I think 30 seems about right for Final Fantasy. I think 30 is enough time to tell an epic story.
Right, and then just extra stuff along the way kind of a thing.
Yeah, extra
Well, I
stuff
mean, how
along
do
the
you-
way that you can repeat later down the road.
Well, yeah, how do you feel about the extra stuff along the way, though? Like, I know with Crisis Core, there's been a few points where I've told you, okay, when you get here, do a bunch of missions, because then you kind of grind it out. I mean, is
the
that...
nature of the extra things in Crisis Core do not interest me as much.
Yeah, you don't like the tunnels and...
Well, it's just missions are just like the same thing over and over again. Go through, find occasional treasure, and then find the one guy on the map that you have to kill in order to end the mission.
Right.
That's not interesting to me.
Yeah, they're not super interesting, but I think they
The
do
hunts
serve
in
a-
12 were much more interesting.
Yeah, there's stories behind them and stuff like that.
Less about the stories behind them, but the finding of them
Oh.
is interesting. It has like a real world aspect to it that I liked a little bit more.
Yeah, like the what is that fucking movie with Val Kilmer, The Ghost in the Darkness? Yeah, that could be a hunt. You know, the lions that go rogue kind of thing. They're like, hey, can you kill these? Never seen that movie?
No, never seen that movie.
That's okay. Yeah, there's like 2 lions that end up attacking a bunch of villagers, and then they go out to kill them.
Huh.
So that would be a real world hunt situation. You know, like some crazy animal that you got to go kill.
Yeah.
Whereas with Crisis Core, it's a weird menu system. You jump in, you walk down a hallway.
Or, you remember 11's sort of like rare creature stuff where like if you get on the airship at this time, there's a % chance that this thing will show up.
Yeah.
That stuff was interesting to me. As
That
long
was
as
horrifying
it's
when
not
they
like a
did.
bullshit way of going about getting things, I'm okay with it.
All right. So you want to keep your side quests not completely necessary. I mean, I know
Right.
we've gone off about
I think
pacing.
I think you can do side quests near the end of the game, that you can bump up your characters like a shitload as long as they're not boring like Final Fantasy X's grinding was.
Yeah.
If there's like an interesting way of going about like doing the hunts, I think it's I think it's far more interesting.
But you don't want it to be
Or
necessary.
like getting extra summons. I think 15 will probably have that where you go out and get extra summons.
Right,
and,
yeah,
like
definitely.
remember when we got them in the cave and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was really easy. Normally you fight them or do something, but
you'll probably have something more difficult in 15
would
unless they're
assume.
just going to be really difficult to find,
yeah, I could see that
which
as
is
well.
possible.
You know, and I don't know. Do you want to have a game where it's balanced enough to where you could just play through it? You don't ever have to grind. I mean, I know you do, but
Yeah. I want it to be fun more than challenging. That's kind of my thing is like if it's fun and strategic but not bullshit.
yeah, that's true. You know, there's some games where no matter how good at the game you are, there's bosses that you have to grind to be able to attack. You know, one of the
Like-
exceptions would be like Legend of Dragoon, where you can get the timing attacks and do some mass damage, and all you have to do is be good at that. But there are some parts in Crisis Core where I'm good at the game, but if I get hit, I just die. You know, so I can feel you there.
See, I still think Final Fantasy X feels about right in that aspect as well. And 7, I think, is actually kind of in the same realm, where bosses near the end of the game especially are still challenging.
But you could beat them.
You could beat them. I mean, without doing extra grinding, which I think most people, when they play these games, most of our listeners, probably doing extra stuff at the same time. So they're probably going there and the bosses are pushovers.
Yeah.
Which I think 8 was trying to correct and didn't work by having you level up with them.
Yeah, completely, yeah.
Which, let's not do that either. But I don't know. I just like kind of a well-balanced approach. And if the problem is, like, is well-balanced like easy, as in you just go from place to place to place? And
Yeah, see,
whatever
that's not fun.
minimum experience you get is what's going to barely kill the next boss, which is kind of what I would like it to be. Or is well-balanced, go from place to place, do a couple things, then go to the next thing.
And see, that's how
Which
I'd
is kind
rather.
of like how you would rather. So it's really just two philosophies against each other.
Yeah, I can't accept yours. You know what? There is balance to it, though. I mean, it's like you're just trying to make it like a movie. a movie, you just event after event after event. It's not event, okay, we do this for a little while to get better, and then we go do this event.
Well,
it's almost like poor
ups and downs, but yeah.
It could be listed as like almost poor pacing for sure. Like you can't just continue with the story because your guy is literally too weak.
Yeah,
but I don't mind that.
That's a big problem I've had. We're like getting to the moon. It's like I have to grind.
Yeah.
I have to grind for a long time in order for this to work.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. It's got its merits,
that.
But it's got its problems too. So I don't know.
So
I hope there's a lot of stuff to do along the way, and I will definitely do it when I get to it.
Okay,
just to make the game easier. That's what I.
How much time are we going to put into 15? Because like. We could put out a review really quick after we get the game done, or we could take our time, do everything in it.
Well,
we can have a multi-parter where we pull a damn chocobo on it and we just do part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 until we're done with the game.
Well, we should definitely not do that. Show is no, let's not do that. But you know what? I'm going to do like a 24-hour. I really want to do that 24-hour stream of it the day it comes out.
You're not even going to remember anything the next day. You're like, it was all a blur. I don't even know what happened.
I'll be fine.
I think 15 hours of 15 is more interesting than 24 hours.
Well, I could do that the next day. We could do a 15 hours of 15 stream.
The next day?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, after it's 12 hours of sleep you're going to probably need.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know what? So I don't know. It kind of depends on how gripping the game is. I think we're going to be very interested to play it though.
Okay.
And I mean, shit. Before the first week that 13 was out, I got all the way to Grand Pulse, so I was into it.
That's a good point.
So I don't think we're going to have any problems at all. Just going through it.
If it does, in fact, come out in September, I can promise you I will have problems.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be in classes, too.
I'm praying for a July release.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but...
Or actually, you know what? If it came out December, awesome. Fucking awesome. I have one class that last semester.
Yeah.
Okay?
And you hear that, Square?
If I only have one... Yeah, exactly. Square, please put it out in December so that... I can have time to play the fucking game
and we'll give you
enjoy
a review.
It and not want to kill myself while I'm doing school at the same time.
All right, that's fair.
How about that?
I think I still am sticking by my gun saying December, though, for the release. I think that's accurate.
I kind of want to take my time with it, honestly.
Yeah?
15.
Well, you want to take your time with everything.
Because it won't be our second time through. It'll be our first time. So, let's savor it. It's a main series game. We got to savor that shit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
Well, that and my school's at the same time.
Barely.
And it's going to be sick, dude.
Barely.
Barely?
If it comes out in December, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not. If it comes out in September, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
It's going to be the worst fucking semester of my life.
Well,
if it comes out in September.
I don't think it will.
And you rush me. That's what's going to happen. Shall we get some questions?
Yeah, we can tag a few of those.
Questions for us. We want to hear from you. To our work with us on Twitter. And ask your present. We're going to
Sometime.
Miss the questions. Select asking you will receive.
Yeah. So today we're going to start things off a little intimately here. Got a Skype question. I'm prepared to be deafened.
Hey guys, this is Joey from Michigan. I was listening to your Final Fantasy VI review, and in that, Caleb said that he thought Final Fantasy VI had the best cast of characters throughout the entire series, and I was curious, now that you're a year away and
balls deep,
however many games you've played afterwards, if he still thinks that
50.
Final Fantasy VI has the best cast of characters. Thanks, and look forward to listening to the show.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the question.
That's your question to answer.
Yeah, it is. You know what? I think it's still the best cast. 10's is really good. I really like 10's cast of characters. Riku's annoying. Tamari's kind of weird, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid setup. And 12's would be the best if it weren't for Vaughn and Pinello, I think. Like, Bosch is a really cool character. Fran and Balthier's interaction is really great. Ash is really powerful, really solid. But those two are just wet noodles, and I can't stand them. They should not have been the main character, and they shouldn't have added them in later to appeal to a younger fucking audience, because fuck that. So, yeah, I think 6 has still got the best cast.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, the Shadow's legit. Interceptor, classic, you know. Sure, there's the annoying little kid character, but
There always is.
she's less crappy, I'd say. Realm is fine.
Yeah.
Old man is weird, but,
Okay.
you know, Edgar and Sabin, those two are legit. Like, I think Edgar might be one of my favorite characters.
You ready for this?
He's so suave, yeah.
You ready for this? Because I have an answer for this
Okay.
as well. And I actually think 7 has a almost equally good cast of characters, by the way. This is something I've been learning about as I've been studying storytelling. With character, there are like characteristics of characters. Like, are they intellectual? Are they sort of feelers? Are they, just kind of the color codes type stuff? Red, yellow, blue, white, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What their clothing is like and how their clothing represents where they're from. Those are all kind of surface characteristic type stuff. And every Final Fantasy character has characteristics in the entire series.
Yeah,
There are characteristics, but that's kind of like, that's what you call a two-dimensional character, where it's just like they are their characteristic. When it comes to character and story, and they're both kind of intertwined, a character that you latch onto tends to be a character with a strong want, and they also have kind of an underlying need with them. And this is how you can kind of read it. I've been doing a lot of story editing, so you read other people's screenplays and you figure out how things can work or how things aren't working. When a character doesn't have a strong want, that is kind of where things start to fall apart. And with Final Fantasy VI, every single character, we know where they're from and we know what they want.
Yeah.
Okay, and I would say the same thing kind of goes with 7, with the exception of Yuffie. We know what every character wants. And the main character, Cloud, Terra, they all have kind of a, I don't want to use the word lesson, but it is kind of that thing. They have something that they need to learn, or they have something that they really need. So they may want one thing. Cloud may want to be Zack or whatever, but he needs to learn that he is not Zack,
right,
by the end of the game.
And that Tifa's way better than Aerith. I mean, that's kind of what he needs to learn.
That's what he needs. I mean, he may not ever get that need.
Those drugs, like
he may not ever get that need, but the need has to be there.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the dimensions of character. A character wants something and a character needs something. There's something going against it. With 6, every single character has something that they're going towards. Right. They have something that they're pushing towards.
Something to get to better themselves to achieve.
When you have a weaker character like Penelo, when someone goes, "What does Penelo want?"
I don't know.
You don't have a fucking answer.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say Vaughn, he wants to become a sky pirate.
Yeah, that's
his want.
Yeah.
So Vaughn is a better character, or a better written character, than Penelo is.
Right, he wants to go on these adventures to gain money, to gain fame, to become a sky pirate.
What Vaughn wants is to become a sky pirate. What Vaughn needs is to, I guess,
get money.
Find out about his brother. Or
find out about his brother.
Deal with the emotional sort of things having to do with Rex.
Yeah, keep his country.
He does that
alive.
really early on, which is a problem. He figures out his need. His need is satiated really early on.
Yeah,
and
that's
from
true.
then on, Vaughn becomes a flat character. If that need were satiated at the end of the game, Vaughn would be a much stronger character.
Even if there was little to nothing in the middle.
Yeah, if he still felt that Bosch had murdered his brother by the end of the game, then the game would be way stronger for it.
Yeah, probably. I'd see
Okay,
that.
so there's the need and there's the surface want. Basically, the want is, I want to become a Jedi and I'm gonna join the Rebel forces. I'm gonna blow up the Death Star, or I'm gonna help blow up the Death Star. Right? His need is to grow up. Right? Luke Skywalker. So in most of the cases for these games, most of these hero journeys type stuff, their need is to basically become an adult.
Yeah, to become better in some way.
But when you don't have that need and you don't have that want, the character is flat.
All right, so do you think 6's is the strongest cast?
I think 6. I think it still has weak cast members like Umaro and Mog.
Yeah.
But I mean, its cast is so huge and it has such a good fucking cast. It's kind of hard to argue that. I mean,
yeah, 7's is pretty solid too, but I mean, you do have, I think Yuffie's her want is to better her society. I mean, they're kind of screwed.
by the end of the game, though, is that like her thing that she's pushing
Not
for?
really, no,
Does she join this group of
no
people in order to
Nope, she steals your shit for that,
complete
though.
that?
But you don't even have to do that. So yeah, it's weird. I guess that doesn't really work as well.
So it's something that you learn about in story. Aaron Sorkin has a thing. He's a very famous screenwriter. Wrote The West Wing, first 4 seasons of that, and Social Network, and American President, and a few other really good movies, frankly. And his whole thing is that when he's writing a character wants something, and there's something pushing against that, and that's tension. Basically, every single scene that he writes, and every single overarching story. That's like the basic thing. And sometimes when the Final Fantasy characters are missing that basic thing,
yeah,
that's when they're flat.
Yeah, and it's that's a pretty good evaluation to it. I mean, if you do complete your quest, why carry on? Why are you even there? Like, what is the purpose of you joining me? You're done. You're fine with your brother. You've accepted the fact that okay, it wasn't Bosch. But now I guess the idea is that I'll continue on to punish who it really was. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
But that he didn't seem to have that much animosity towards the man who killed his brother, because maybe by then he realized that it wasn't really him that killed him. It was, the political aspect of it, that he was supposed to kill him. He was commanded to do so. And the king, or the person, who gave that order, we're going to go fight. So maybe he doesn't hate Gabranth as much because of that, because he's accepted it. He's grown up and realized that, okay, yeah, he swung the sword, but he wasn't the one who gave the order.
Bosch is a much stronger main character.
Oh yeah, that would have been such a better game if they would have done that. I can't believe that.
But no, I agree with your assessment that 6 had the strongest cast of characters. I think 7 comes close, 10 comes close, but I think 6 overall just feels stronger in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many main characters, and you could say that there may be a problem with that.
Yeah, 4.
And we
4 does a
talked
good
about
job of that.
talked about when we had our Final Fantasy VI review that there's differences between main character and protagonist and all that other shit.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about main character, who is Terra, by the way, there's not really a good argument against that, despite the developers saying that there's no real main character in FF6. It's a fucking lie.
Yeah, I agree.
With Terra, I mean, she has a want, she has a need to love, basically, and
Yeah.
that's what happens.
I think
she wants to find out about her past by delving into this stuff with the Empire and all that other, the Magitech and all that other stuff. What she needs to do is she needs to learn how to love, or to accept love.
Yeah, you know what? 4 had a pretty solid cast too, actually.
4 has a solid cast as well.
Playing the after years. The only one that really bugs me is Edward, but it's like impossible to not be bothered by him. I don't know what it is. He's just so douchey with his stupid little harp.
There are different things. It's not just characteristics, not the surface characteristics. It's their drive. What's driving that character? That's a big part of it, and I think that's why some characters are weaker than others in the Final Fantasy series, because they're not driven, thinking about, when they're developing these games, some of the side characters' needs and wants.
Yeah, and if that's the case, they might as well just cut them on some of them, honestly.
So Titus wants to help Yuna defeat Sin. Titus needs to forgive his father.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's his story. That's his character arc. And so because of that, we can latch onto it.
Yeah, Amaro, not so much. Or Mog. cool, but
maybe not so much them. 10 comes close. I mean, it's kind of hard with those top 3 games, right?
yeah, they're all really good for multiple reasons.
They're all really excellent. I'd say 9 has a great cast of characters too. Some of them are less drawn out than others, as is the rest of the series that way.
Yeah.
But, 6, I would agree. Yeah, best one.
All right, sweet.
I would agree with your opinion on that. What's our next question here?
Well, this one looks like it's brought to us by Out Chillin'. You want to go ahead and read that?
Yeah, I can read that. I'm not sure if you guys or any news has been covered on this, but do you guys think Crisis Core would ever get a remaster and or re-release before FF7 Remake, such as Steam re-release or PSN, so Square can use it to get more people excited for the remake? And also, since you're in the middle of playing it, or at the end of playing it, how do you think they will incorporate FF7 Crisis Core characters in the remake, such as Genesis and Angeal? I heard rumor that Zack will be mentioned more in the remake. Any thoughts? I think Square is pretty into their 10th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII stuff.
Yeah.
Like Advent Children and Crisis Core. So I'm sure that they'll incorporate those characters or the memory of those characters more in their remake. I have no doubt about that. I've heard from some other people on the forums and stuff that there's some music that Square doesn't have the rights to release.
Yeah, so Shinru says Crisis Core has a lot of copyrighted music that wasn't developed by Square Enix, but by Sony music artists. And digital rights distribution in Japan is insanely crazy to get worldwide rights for distribution. That may be why I'm getting so cock-blocked when I try to stream their fucking games. It might not actually be Square Enix.
Oh, okay.
It might be them.
So there might be a copyright music problem.
Yeah, so he highly doubts Crisis Core will ever come out in HD or PSN unless they remove lots of music from the game, or if by some crazy reason they get the rights for the music.
I think we should look more into this music question more in our review episode.
Yeah, we definitely will. But as of right now, you know what? I think it'd be a good move to re-release all of it.
It would be a smart move for them.
I mean,
frankly.
honestly, this game...
Pay Sony Music's their fees for distributing the stuff. I'm sure they'll make their money back.
Yeah, and you know what? It's part of the universe. It's, canonized. Why not have it available? It's only on the fucking PSP. Like, PSPs are a bitch to get. There's like 4 of them around here that are for sale. 4? Yeah, 4. It's slightly more than 3, yet less than 5. It's irritating, and same with Urge of Cerberus. It's on PS2, for fuck's sake. A fucking PS2 game. That's the only place it's released. They're all up in those, FF10, FF10-2, PS3, PS4, PS Vita.
Mm-hmm.
Every console ever.
Right.
But nothing for these obscure ones. Admittedly, they don't have the love that 10 does, but I don't know, I think it'd be appropriate to make it available for the anniversary and for the remake of Final Fantasy VII. I don't know if they can.
I'm not sure if they ever will, or at least I'm sure they will at some point in the future, just maybe not soon. I do think it would be a smart thing for Square Enix to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that whatsoever.
The music is pretty awesome in Crisis Core, though.
I agree. Soundtrack, I'm a digging the soundtrack in Crisis Core.
Lots of metal.
Lots of metal.
Really
so
awesome.
it's right up my alley.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that we can't get that re-released because of the coolest aspect of the sound in that game.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully they'll work that out. We really should look into that a little more and see exactly why it's not done. That, as of right now, is just a rumor from our forum members, but I could see that being a potential reason. Anyway. Yeah, like why wouldn't they have re-released it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but we'll see if that's something they do in the future.
All right. So, do we have any iTunes reviews, you think?
We do.
Okay. You want to get to those?
Yes.
iTunes reviews. iTunes reviews.
All right, so we got 2 new iTunes reviews from the US of A.
Oh, yeah.
Today, this first very, very lengthy one is from Minzara, who
Chapter 1.
we have definitely seen on the forums before. He says, a great show! 5 stars.
Yeah.
Minzara here from the forums. I told you I would give you a long, detailed review when I finally caught up, and I have. Here we go. I found UFF a couple months back when I was looking for something to listen to on my hour drive to my new job I recently obtained at a production company. Yes, me and Joe are in the same field, I believe. I have always been a huge FF fan, playing the game since I was 5 years old, and FF1, with FF1 up until now, playing every single one. So I found UFF, and I was initially hooked. These guys are funny. Oh, thanks. Smart.
I don't know
Thank
about
you.
that.
And all around, just great to listen to. I find myself disagreeing with them a lot on stuff, actually, but still am enjoying the show. To make this review a little easier to read on the show, I will just bullet point and explain the pros and cons of the show. Pros, it's still one giant paragraph. I'm sorry, man.
Paraphrased.
I appreciate it, but it didn't work with the iTunes thing. Pros, great hosts with a lot of chemistry with each other. I swear I laugh sometimes to tears. You both are extremely funny at times. You also can build some interesting conversations among yourselves. Overall, you guys work really well together. I guess the other guy that drops by every once in a while is pretty cool too. Extremely detailed
He's all
look
right.
at the FF series as a whole, reviewing every game in the series. Seriously, guys, holy crap. I've played through all the FF games over time, and some several times, FF7, 18 times, in fact. But doing all the FF constantly as you are is insane. Mad props. Thank you very much. This also gave me an interesting perspective on the earlier games because you didn't experience them as a kid like I did, and many others as well. It gave you a true look at the games. While I still think FF2 is by far the worst game, I respect your opinion on why it isn't because of how you viewed the game. I found myself very intrigued on how people with fresh eyes viewed something I experienced when I was 6 or 8. Nice side episodes that look at the history of the series, focus on key staff members of Square Enix, and delve into interesting fan theories, etc. Other nice segments like Spot the FF, which I don't think you have done mine yet, unless I missed it. Have we done his?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Maybe sometime in the future. We'll definitely look into it. News and iTunes reviews, etc. A really good interview episode with Limit Break Radio. I don't even listen to LBR, and I really liked those 2 episodes. Seriously, do more episodes like this. Constant episodes and amazing backlog to get through. Cons. Dun, dun, dun.
That's a big con section.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
right.
Our show is not perfect choice.
Fuck.
Shit. The cooking episodes.
Oh, boy.
For the love of God, please, please never do these again. Worst episodes by far. Too much FPS talk. Now, this may be a personal thing, and you can take it as it is. I despise FPS with every part of my being. It's so annoying when I find someone like if I find someone likes gaming and all they do is first-person shooters. I was so happy to find people that just talked about something I loved, FF and JRPGs. However, when you started to delve into the FPS talk, which has happened several times now, I am sorry. My eyes glaze over and I just get really mad for some reason. I really don't think it's fair of me to ask you to stop talking about it, but this is an FF podcast. So pretty please, lol. The FF11 review episodes and any FF11 conversations. It's hard to truly critique you guys on this one, but it's more of a personal con for me. Okay. All right. As long as it's not personal. as long as it's personal, right?
Yeah, I want it to be personal.
All right. I played FF11 release day, and it was a very different game and experience then. Because you guys didn't experience that, I believe your opinions on that were tainted because you couldn't experience it the way I was intended. Believe me.
We know. Well, there's nothing we can do about
We're
that.
thankful
though.
they nerfed it.
Yeah.
Honestly. I also disagreed with your opinions of the story, music, graphics, and gameplay. Basically everything. I enjoyed the episodes, but I just felt like I was being attacked all those episodes because I so strongly believed against everything bad you were all saying. This is yet another personal con. Some mistakes about certain characters and just not being correct at times. Wrong information, etc. Like confusing 2 old dudes.
There you go, Joe.
That's me.
Yeah.
Or calling Amaranth a thief. That's Schweiss.
me, yeah.
But it happens, so whatever. The last con is yet another personal one. Too much FF7 remake and Advent Children hate. I don't have FF7 remake hate. I have FF7 remake cautious.
Yeah.
Very cautious optimism.
And you know what? I've flipped on that, so fuck that.
Those episodes
I'm excited for it.
were also hard to watch. Okay. Maybe he's on our Twitch.
Maybe he's here.
Okay, they were also hard to listen to, I assume, because I so strongly disagreed with you guys. In the end, my cons are mostly personal. Overall, I really enjoyed the show. I would 4-star it for some of the reasons above, but you guys have given me hours upon hours of entertainment, so I would be wrong. It would be wrong of me not to give you a 5-star. Keep up the good work. P.S. I felt a little surprised with your Patreon. P.S. I have also done podcasting in the past, but it failed. You guys have piqued my interest in doing it again sometime, maybe. Thank you very much, Manzara. That was an awesome review.
Yeah, and Crisis Core... Or no, Advent Children is still a shitty movie, so enjoy.
Hey, look, if you disagree, it's okay for you guys to disagree.
Yeah, you don't have to disagree. You just have to acknowledge that you don't know what a good movie is.
That's why we have the section. That's why we tell you the week before our reviews to go put your reviews on the thing so that we have a second opinion.
Yeah, it's healthy.
Yeah, and I think we're going to add a new segment to our reviews.
We are, certainly.
Yeah, but be excited. Please be excited, as Yoshi P would say.
Yes. All right, so we have another one here from Hood FGDO. You know what? This is, I swear to God, they've already left us one.
Hood
Skull Haiti here. Love the show. Love you guys so much that you're going to do another review. And I love the attitude and atmosphere of the show. It's casual, yet dedicated. Sure, you guys make small mistakes, but it's very forgivable and almost fitting with the show. It's clear you guys put in a lot of work into this, and the audience notices. Not everybody. Not everybody. Thank you for getting me into podcasts in general and renewing my love for Final Fantasy. You guys are hard workers, funny, and entertaining. Keep it up, guys, and good luck to you in your future podcast empire and all of your other goals. P.S. Might have to drop by FF Union's page and leave a 1-star review.
Oh, hey now.
No one messes with my favorite podcast, you fucks.
First off, thank you, but don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
And you didn't read the fucking title of his review. Look at this.
The title of it, yeah, it was Hips to the Hilt for the Cheap, which is awesome.
It's, was To the Hilt on UFF, or was that Super Sexy, the show?
I think it was both.
One of them.
I think he used To the Hilt on the Konzen, on both of Konzen's works.
I think To the Hilt might be
the FF6 one?
It might be UFF.
I think it is too. I think he used
To the Hilt. I think it was our first Konzen.
So often that it was probably in both.
Yeah. So Hips and To the Hilt. Okay. For the Cheap is a nude clan saying now.
It is, yeah. For the cheap.
For the cheap. All right.
You know what? I want to do one more thing real quick.
What?
That new segment that I talked about, the post-game cleanup that I forgot to do for like 2 weeks.
The post-game cleanup?
Yeah, so when I beat these games, I, at the very least, am dedicated to going back and fighting certain bosses just to say that I was able to kill them.
You going to go back to 9 and 8?
No, I'm not. That's too far. That's too far from now.
Well, yes, but no.
The only thing I have left in 8 is Doom Train. That's the only thing I didn't do.
You fought Odin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got all of those.
Did you fight the colorful orb in 9?
No, I didn't fight the Uber boss in 9.
There's an extra dungeon in 3. There's an extra dungeon in 4 After Years.
Well, there's a bunch of them in After Years. But in 4...
Okay, so have you even introduced this segment at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
This is its conception right here.
All right.
This is it crowning.
So tell us what the segment is.
So essentially it's the week or two after we beat a game. I'm going to try to go back and do some of the extra missions, extra content in the game. So I went back in After Years the week after we beat it and reviewed at least part 1, and I power grinded, I leveled up quite a bit, and I was able to beat Shinru.
How was that?
It was rough. He was a pain in the ass. I'd have to, whoever lived, I'd just have to throw an elixir on and then just try to raise everybody as quick as I could. He always had Protect. He was always really fast. he would kill Rosa really quick, so like I wouldn't be able to slow him down sometimes. So I had to power grind for like a few hours, I think.
Okay.
And I went back and killed him. I haven't beaten the other guy that's down there, the machine dude.
Are you gonna try to? It's gonna be more of your cleanup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can try it again for next time's cleanup, but yeah. So yeah, that's something I want to kind of do from now on.
Just give a little bit of a update.
Yeah, just kind of where I'm at on some of these past games. So
Okay.
fun stuff.
You want to do that at the beginning of the show, where we say where are you in?
I could probably do that.
Okay, I think that'd be a more appropriate spot for it.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right. Well, next time that's where we'll put it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
You got anything else you want to say?
We got a question from us to you.
Yeah.
We got to get into.
All right.
Let's go. Fuck you.
Yeah. All right. So
right.
last week, in preparation for the Uber episodes of Nobuo Uematsu's Spotlight, Joe asked, "What pieces by Nobuo Uematsu could you not live without?"
Mazuki says, "Not Alone" from FF9. That's a really good one.
It is.
FF4, there's one called
Tempest.
Tempest, I guess that was brought over to
14.
FF14.
Yeah, 14, not 4.
FF10, Someday the Dream Will End is another favorite. Stolas lists stuff from FF8, FF7, and FF9. And then Shinru says, this is a cruel question. As he said before when I tried to ask this just to the forum, it says probably all the FF6 and FF7 tracks.
Oh, but he also says and FF13 and 13.2 battle tracks and area tracks. Now,
Dun, dun, dun.
those will not be included in the Nobuo Uematsu Spotlight as
Easy
they
now.
are not Nobuo
Easy
Uematsu's
now.
pieces.
Hey now. It's all right. It's all right. I mean, we'll learn.
We'll learn.
Maybe we'll do a spotlight on the guy who did that music.
What's his name, Joe?
I forgot it from last time.
Yeah.
And
So did
from
I.
the 13 episode.
So did I.
But I definitely won't forget it after I do a spotlight on him. That's for damn sure.
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah. Chocobo Cheek says the ending theme to 10. To Xanarkin, Cosmo Canyon, Terra's theme, A Place to Call Home, all amazing. I completely agree. Gabranth says his top 3. FF4's Battle with the Four Fiends, which is pretty cool. FF6 is Searching for Friends, which I'm not sure which one that one is. And the end, FF7 opening the bombing mission theme.
Yeah.
That one's sweet.
That's good.
Yeah, so
Lots of submissions here.
Lots of
That's great.
submissions for that, and we'll definitely be glad. I think we'll delve into that shit when we're doing our Nobuo Uematsu episode. So I appreciate you guys having that for me to pull from.
Keep submitting stuff
Later
though.
on.
I mean, if you have more, just edit your
Please
response.
God, like you
throw
don't have
another
to
one
say
up.
everything from this. Like literally, just like list a bunch of tracks that you love. Because I will listen to every single one of them and be like, oh yeah, I remember this, and
Yeah.
I think this is important to put in here. You know,
Yeah, we'll go through everyone that you guys submit and
we'll find remixes for them and then put them up
of course.
on our Nobuo Uematsu, probably a 2-part episode.
Yeah.
I think. And like full, there won't be any questions with that episode or any other segments. It'll just be
us reviewing his
that
music.
spotlight. Yeah.
All right, so as for this week's question from us to you, what are you guys' thoughts on Crisis Core? Did you like it? Did you hate it?
Yeah. Just give us your
give
small
us your
reviews
review.
on Crisis Core, as well as, so I'm going to have a thread for that, and I'm going to have another thread up for questions as far as like Crisis Core goes. So like if you have any questions to ask us, things that we need to touch upon during our Crisis Core reviews, put those down in that thread that I put up for questions for Crisis Core. Okay?
Yeah, and if you guys have any comments on story changes from the original FF7, let us know how you feel about those as well. Do you like the Crisis Core version of events, or do you like the original? I mean, what do you feel?
All right, so I think that's going to be it for today's episode, Twice.
I think so too.
You can go to youtube.com/Ultimate Final Fantasy, facebook.com/Ultimate Final Fantasy. You can go support us on Patreon. $1 a month gives you the episode as soon as we're done mixing them. You can go to twitch.tv/Ultimate Final Fantasy. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGollier.
Me at UFF Podcast.
You can do everything else on our forums at ultimatefinalfantasy.com. And you can also leave us a question and or intro by dialing 385-204-3921. That's 385-204-3921. We will see you guys next week.
Enjoy the grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGollier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGollier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.